a mother losing her child for 6 months. It was terrifying.
Y'all know my job. In my spare time, I infiltrate the Illuminati. Look for their secrets. Run back. Tell y'all. And they if they could, but I'm too fast, and the Lord keep blessing me.
3 days before he died, Simone Lark's son called her crying. Nobody knew why. She never talked about it. Not on camera, not to reporters, nothing. Until last week. Comedian Marcus Dupree was on a podcast, just talking, just being funny like he always is. And then out of nowhere, he stopped smiling. He looked at the camera and said, "Y'all don't know what really happened to that boy." The room went dead quiet. Nobody laughed. Nobody moved. The host didn't even ask a follow-up question. And Marcus, he just sat there, like he said too much, like he wanted to take it back but couldn't. So what did he mean? What does Marcus Dupree know that the rest of us don't? Stay with me, because this gets deeper than you think. Okay, quick catch-up for anybody who doesn't follow this world closely. Simone Lark has been in the industry for almost 30 years. Actress, producer, one of those names everybody respects. Her son, let's call him by what people online have been calling him, the Golden Boy, was 26 when he passed. Officially, the report said it was a private family tragedy. Simone asked for space. The industry gave her that space. But baby, here's the thing. Hollywood doesn't usually give anybody real space. Not unless something is being handled quietly behind the scenes. And that's exactly what people are starting to whisper about now. Because apparently, according to sources close to the family, her son wasn't just going through a hard time. He was asking questions. Questions about contracts. Questions about money. Questions that, allegedly, some very powerful people did not want asked. And guess who those questions led straight back to? That's coming up. But first, you need to understand what Marcus Dupree actually said. So let's break down this podcast clip, because it's been going viral for a reason. Marcus was talking, like he always does, about the industry being fake, about people smiling in your face while they're planning your downfall. Normal Marcus stuff. Funny, sharp, a little chaotic. Then the host asked him a simple question. You ever seen anything messed up happen to somebody who got too close to the truth? And Marcus paused. He looked down. He rubbed his hands together like he was deciding something. And then he said it. Simone's boy wasn't struggling. He was warned. Warned about what? He didn't say. The host tried to push him, and Marcus just shook his head and said, I already said enough. Now here's what's wild. Right after that clip went up, it got pulled from the original podcast page, re-uploaded somewhere else, taken down again. Coincidence? Maybe. Probably, honestly. But the internet doesn't do probably. The internet does, why was it deleted? And that question is exactly what's about to blow this whole thing wide open. Section 4. The old interview, everyone forgot. 150 words. Now rewind with me for a second, because there's an old interview people are digging back up. About 2 years before he passed, Simone's son did a short interview for a small entertainment site. Barely anybody watched it at the time. In it, he said something that nobody thought twice about back then. He said, sometimes you find out things about people you looked up to, and it changes everything. That's it. That's the whole quote. Vague, right? Could mean anything. But people are going back to that clip now, watching it frame by frame, saying his face changed when he said it, like he was scared to say more. And if Marcus Dupree is right, that interview might have been the moment everything started. Here's where it gets messy. Word going around, and I want to be clear, this is not confirmed, is that Simone's son found some paperwork. Old contracts. Stuff involving a producer who's been in the industry even longer than Simone has. Let's just call him the executive, because honestly, everybody in these comment sections already knows exactly who they think this is. Allegedly, The paperwork showed money being moved around in ways it shouldn't have been. Allegedly, Simone's son brought it to people he trusted. Allegedly, those people told him to drop it. He didn't drop it. And not long after that, according to people who say they knew him, he started acting different, distant, paranoid even, telling friends he felt like he was being watched. Now, we all know grief and stress can do that to anybody. That's real, and I'm not dismissing that even a little bit. But when you put it next to what Marcus Dupree said, when you put it next to that deleted podcast clip, it starts to paint a different picture. A picture where a 26-year-old asking the wrong questions about the wrong contract ends up in the worst possible place. And Marcus Dupree isn't the only one hinting at this, because somebody else close to the family has been dropping their own clues too. So there's this assistant. Worked for Simone's team for years. Left the job suddenly about a year ago. No public explanation. Now she's got a small podcast of her own. Barely any followers. But people are finding her old episodes and going through them one by one. In one from a few months back, without naming anybody directly, she said this: "Some families protect their kids from the truth because the truth would destroy them. Simone protected hers as long as she could. Protected him from what, though? She never says, but she does say one more thing that's got people talking. She said the last time she saw him, he told her, 'If anything happens to me, don't believe what they tell you. If anything happens to me.' That's not something a person says when they're just having a rough week. That's something a person says when they're scared. Scared of what? Or who? Marcus Dupree seems to think he knows. And what he hinted at next is honestly hard to even say out loud. Okay, so here's the part of this that's got everybody's jaw on the floor. In a follow-up clip, this one shorter, blurrier, clearly filmed on somebody's phone at some event, Marcus is heard saying to somebody off camera, "They don't kill people no more, they sacrifice them. Make it look like the person did it to themselves." Sacrifice. That word alone sent the internet into a spiral. Because if you've followed any of these industry conspiracy theories before, you already know that word gets used a lot when people talk about young stars, or in this case, the children of stars, who get too close to something they shouldn't. Now look, I need to say this clearly. There is no official evidence, none, that Simone Lark's son's death was anything other than what was originally reported. I want to be responsible here. But allegedly, and again I stress allegedly, the same executive whose name keeps coming up has been connected to at least 2 other situations over the years, where young people around him ran into serious trouble right after finding out something they weren't supposed to know. 2 other situations. And if that pattern is real, this isn't just a rumor anymore. This is starting to look like something else entirely. And through all of this, Simone Lark has said nothing. Not a statement. Not a denial. Not even a "please respect my privacy" post. Nothing. Now, some people say that's just grief. That's just a mother trying to protect what's left of her family from the internet tearing this apart even more than it already has. And that might be exactly what it is. I want to be fair here, but other people are asking a harder question. If this was all just baseless rumors, wouldn't somebody on her team have shut it down by now? Wouldn't a lawyer have sent a statement? The silence is either grief, or it's something else. And Marcus Dupree might be the only person outside that family who actually knows which one it is. So this is the part that really cracked this whole story open. A private investigator, one of those guys who's worked a few high-profile entertainment cases before, posted a long thread a few days ago. He didn't name names directly, said his lawyer told him not to, but he laid out a timeline. According to him, Simone's son met with somebody 2 days before he died. A meeting that wasn't on any calendar, wasn't mentioned by any assistant, wasn't caught on any of the building's cameras, because allegedly, the cameras in that specific hallway were down for maintenance that exact day. Convenient? Maybe. Coincidence? Also maybe. The investigator says he's tried to get access to phone records from that day and has hit wall after wall. Nobody will confirm anything. Nobody will deny anything either. He ended his thread with one line that's been quoted everywhere. Some people don't disappear. They get erased, quietly, so nobody has to explain anything. Now I want to be honest with you. None of this is confirmed. Not the meeting, not the cameras, none of it. But when you stack it next to what Marcus Dupree said, next to the assistant's old podcast, next to Simone's silence, it stops feeling like a coincidence. It starts feeling like a pattern. And Marcus Dupree might be about to say a whole lot more. Because here's the thing nobody's talking about yet. Marcus Dupree has a new special dropping in a few weeks. And somebody who says they saw an early cut of it, no proof, just a claim, says there's a whole segment where he talks, in detail, about a young man he calls the boy who asked the wrong question. No names, not yet. But if that segment makes it into the final cut, and if Marcus Dupree actually says the executive's name out loud, on a stage, in front of cameras, in front of an audience, this whole thing stops being a rumor. It becomes something the entire industry has to answer for. Simone Lark hasn't said a word. The executive hasn't said a word. And Marcus Dupree, the only person who seems to know anything real here, has gone quiet too. No new posts, no new interviews, nothing since that clip went viral. Is he being careful? Or is somebody making sure he stays quiet, the same way they allegedly made sure somebody else did? We don't know yet. But when that special drops, we're going to find out together.